that you can
Okay.
use to guide you with the other problems. So it's the same thing, but we have different numbers in our graphs, different points, different values in our tables, and different points in the bottom. So whatever I do now is to help you answer the other ones.
All right then.
Okay.
Okay.
And again, guys, we're working on yesterday's work, on yesterday's homework. So it's assignment 6. We had a couple of kids show up at the very end or right now.
Okay. I just dropped it in the chat for those of you that just showed up. Click on that assignment and it'll take you to this one here. This is what we're working on, but I took a couple of screenshots of some of the problems that we can practice with. Okay, so again, when we have a graph, you want to find your rise over run. And we were talking about that when we're looking for a rise and our run, we first want to make sure our scale is either just going by 1 or that we understand how much each jump or movement is. So in this case, when I see my scale on the y-axis, I've noticed I'm going from 10 to 20 to 30 to 40. So every jump or every move that I make up or down is going to go up by 10. So keep that in mind. Anytime we're moving here, we're going up by 10. So when I pick a point here, any point, I'm going to go ahead and pick these perfect corners. So let me zoom in. A lot of you have trouble finding those points. So that's where you're having a hard time. Some of you just want to pick random points here in between. And unfortunately, if you do that, you can't even tell what number that really is here. So that's not going to be very helpful to pick those points. So what I mean by a point in a perfect corner, it's these little corners here. These are perfect points. But those points need to be on your line. So see, these 2 points, these 2 red points are on our line, and they're also in those perfect corners. So those are points on this line. And now between these 2 points, we can find our rise and then our run. So if I'm reading this graph, I want to read it from the left side to the right side. And I want to ask myself, how many units do I have to go up or down to get from this first point to this second point? So I can go ahead and draw it. I'm jumping over 1 time here, but we said a jump is worth 10 units because our scale is going up by 10. So I can write that my rise is 10. So give me a thumbs up if you're okay with that step. I'm going from 1 point to another, but I have to rise up. I went up once. Give me a clap if that part confused you. Okay. So now that we went up, we're almost from the first point to the second point. Now we just have to go from this left side here to the right. But you also want to look at your scale. This is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, which means every time we make a jump here, we're jumping by 10. So keep that in mind. Because here I'm jumping once, so that's 10. Twice, that's another 10. So now we're at 20. And 3 times, which says our run is 30. Okay, and why is that? Because each jump on the x-axis is worth 10 units. So we have that rise over run is 10 over 30. This is the rise, this is the run, we now just have to simplify that fraction. Simplifying means I have to divide the top and the bottom by some number. Since both of these end in 0, both of these are even, I can try dividing by 2. That can work. But both of these can also be divided by 10. And that gives me 1. 10 divided by 10 is 1. 30 divided by 10 is 3. So our slope here is 1/3. And technically you could have seen that we went up once and then 1, 2, 3, 1/3. It works out that way mainly because these are just skip counting by tenths. But if we had a scale of 2 or a 5s, it won't work out that way. So once you have your answer, you want to go back to your homework assignment. On question number 6, you want to go into that box and type in m equals 1/3. I do not have any spaces here. And it turned black, so I know that's correct. And I did get a couple of more colors pop up in that picture. So I'm going to go back just so you can see the work. And if you have any questions on this part, you can go ahead and ask me now, either in the chat or if you want to unmute yourself. Again, we're doing this to help you guys. We want to make sure you're understanding it. It seems like some of you are doing well with tables and with the points, but for some reason, these graphs might be giving you a hard time. All right, so give me a thumbs up if you're okay to move on to the next question. Give me a clap if you need a little more time. Thank you, Angelina, Chanel. All right. Okay. Okay. So someone wants help with tables. Let me take a look and see what question 9 was. Oh, okay. Yeah. So let me do one more graph and then I'll come back to the table. Let me just get a picture of that. Okay, making it pretty big so you guys can really see this scale on the side. So before we actually find our rise over run, take a good look at your scale. In between here, there's also first. So you really want to make sure you understand your scale. This corner here at the very end is 0. So you want to take a look at what this is making jumps by. See, if we make this big jump, it's going from 0 to 4. So a big jump there is going up by 4.
Miss,
Go ahead.
do we have to write it down on paper?
You don't have to, but most likely for the tables and points, you do have to write some work so that you can actually get the correct answer. For the graphs, I understand that it will be hard to show this part on paper. So if you're okay with doing the graphs mentally, just seeing and counting yourself, that's okay. But you should be using paper and pencil to at least help you out with the tables and the points. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you look at this table here, at this graph, we're going up by twos from 0 to 2 to 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So once you see your scale, just remember on this side, we're going up by 2. Your Y's. On my X axis, I'm going up by 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. That's just our regular skip counting by 1. So you don't have to worry too much about your X axis. We're just going up by 1s on our X's. So if you get in the habit of paying attention to your Y axis, your X axis, you won't make mistakes when we make these jumps. All right, so again, you have to pick 2 points. If I zoom in here, the 2 points, remember those perfect little corners, but on your line, there's one here and one here. Did you have to pick those 2? No, you could have picked this one, that one, that one. There are so many points to pick from, but don't pick the in-betweens. Those will give you a hard time. Okay, remember, we want our rise.
So close.
No, they don't have to be. That's what our slope triangles was all about. You can make a bigger triangle. See, I can make this bigger triangle, or I can make a smaller triangle. When you have a bigger triangle, though, we have to simplify a fraction, which simplifying isn't too bad. I actually found out that Google can do it for you too. If you type in simplify and then whatever fraction you have, it does simplify it for you. So no, you don't have to pick points that are close. You can pick points that are further away. Further away just means you simplify a fraction. So I'm picking points that are close. My rise, I'm looking if I'm going up or down from one point to another. So again, I like to start with my points on the left side. So this will be 1. This will be my second point. I'm just going to find out how I can rise up or down to get to point 2. I need to go up. Count your jump. This is 1 jump. If I made just 1 jump, I went up by 2. Remember, on your Y's, we're going up by 2 here. So that is up by 2. So my rise was 2. So give me a thumbs up if you're okay with that step. I went from point 1 to point 2 so far by just jumping 1 time. But jumping 1 time is jumping by 2. So we have to be careful with that in this case. Okay. All right. So now I have to run. I'm either going to go left or right to get from point 1 to point 2. So here I am. If I go to the left side, I'm going further away, so we don't want that. I'm going to the right. And how many jumps did you make? I only made 1 jump. If I make a jump, I'm just skip counting by 1s on this x-axis. So that is a jump or a run of 1. Now that we actually have our slope here, 2 over 1, you want to simplify this if you can. You can divide both numbers on top and bottom by a number, but when I see this fraction here, I can also think of the top being divided by the bottom, the numerator divided by the denominator. So this is really just telling me it's 2 divided by 1, which is just 2. So If you ever have a bigger number on top, you can see if the top ever divides by the bottom and simplifies nicely this way. Or if not, then you might want to try dividing by both numbers by the same factor. So let's go on over to number 9 over here. And we will write m equals 2. And if it turns black, then you know you got it correct. You're welcome. And if it stays red, then we did something wrong. And also you should start seeing some of these fill in. Okay, so I'll let you finish that up. I know I had some of you ask if I can go over a table. Is there a specific table you want me to go over? I have one that I've picked already, but I can go over one that you guys would prefer me to go over. Okay. Okay. It's funny that you guys picked that one. I picked that one too. It's right here. I had a feeling. I know you guys so well now. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and work on 10. So number 10 might look a little different to you guys because the tables we were working on yesterday were your vertical tables where they went up and down. So it might look a little different, but it's not. We just basically turned it over. Okay, before we actually start with your table, I want you to realize that whenever we have a table, you're going to want to use your formula, the slope formula. So if I have a slope formula written down, it'll help me remember that I should label some of these X values and Y values. So I will start by writing the formula here. Y2 minus Y1 all over X2 minus X1. So your second Y subtracted by your first Y, and your second X subtracted by your first X. So all of these here are ordered pairs. We have ordered pairs here, but I'm going to do one thing here because I saw some students mixing and matching, basically. That's the one thing I can call it. They said, well, if I pick this as my X value, I can pick this as my first Y value. No, we're just mixing and matching here at this point. Our ordered pairs are pairs that are together. So this is a pair here. This is a pair here. This is a pair here. And this is a pair here. So an X with a Y that are right next to each other, those are pairs. So when I mean you can pick any point you want, you can pick the pairs as long as you keep them together. You don't want to mix and match, go back and forth between these numbers. So I can pick any pair here I want. When I look at this first pair, I like that pair because it only has, well, sorry, I'm only going to be subtracting or adding by ones. And anytime I can add by ones, that's a good thing. So I'm going to pick this. This one here is my first pair. So if I'm picking that as my first pair, I can label it already. This will be, since this is X, I'm going to say that's X1. And its pair here is Y1. So that's my first X. This is my first Y. And then I can go in here and pick another pair for my second ordered pair. 5 and 17, pretty small numbers. If I look at these here, 9 and 33, 13 and 49, those are getting really big. If you want to work with big numbers, that works fine, but I'll just work with smaller numbers here. So I'll pick this pair here right next to it. as my second pair. So this will be x2, and this will be y2. Notice I kept the pairs together. I didn't jump back and forth, mix and match anything. They have to stay together. So give me a thumbs up if you're okay up to there. Just finding 2 points, labeling them x1, y1, x2, y2. Give me a clap if that's the part that's maybe confusing you. Okay, we're good with that. All right. So now that you have your y's and your x's, you want to replace those numbers in your formula. But remember, we said it will be really helpful if you start with your bar and your subtraction symbols in the center. Please start that way so that when we get into some negative numbers, for example, here and here, we'll miss out on the double negative that should be there because you didn't put in your first minus in the middle. All right, here we go. So I'm going to get some help from you guys. The first number here has to be y2, my second y. So when I look at this table, what number did I pick for my second y? Yes, 17, which means I should go in here and I will write 17 in the front. Now, I need to keep going, minus y1. What number did I pick as my y1? Thank you, 1. Just plugging them in, the numbers I picked. x2, what number do we have as our second x? Thank you, 5. And what number do I have as my first x? Yes, 1. So now you used your slope formula just to plug in those numbers, and we can actually work through the subtraction problems. So we have 17 minus 1. That would be 16 over 5 minus 1, which is 4. So in this case, we have another problem in our fraction where the number on top is bigger than the number in this bottom. So we could still try. So we could still try to simplify the top by the bottom. Remember, a fraction shows us that we can take that top number and divide it by the bottom number. So in this case, I have 16 divided by 4. $16 divided by 4. Well, I know 4 times 4 is 16. So 16 divided by 4 must be 4. So in this case, and I got a lot of you guys asking in the reflections, when do we subtract or when do we add? I have this question here. I picked this question here on purpose because we have some negatives in both of our pairs, which means that's going to change our formula a little after we've plugged in our numbers. So let's go back to to your homework. And on question 10, we should be typing in m equals 4. And it should already fill in some pieces. Yes, it did. And I'll go back here in case you wanted to take a screenshot. Actually, I can even let you guys take screenshots of these two so far. Or if you want to wait. Oh, good question. So the thing is, you're only picking 2 points. So once you pick 2 points, you don't have to worry about the rest. You use those 2 points in the table to find the slope. If I wanted to take up more of your time, I would show you how if I use these 2 points, if I use the bigger numbers instead, I'll still get a 4. 49 minus 33, whatever that is, 13 minus 9, rise over run. If I divide those, I'm still going to get 4. So do we only have to do the first half of the table? You only have to pick 2 points on your table. Does that make sense? Once you pick 2 points and you use your formula, you're done. You don't have to worry about the other points. It'll have the same slope. Okay. That was a really good question. So I'm going to work through 19. Well, I picked 19, but I'm going to let you guys choose if you prefer to have a different one for the points. So far I've given you an example of a graph. Well, 2 examples of a graph. I just remembered that one. I've given you an example of a table, and I'm going to give you an example of a point. So I picked number 19 because it's one of those special types of slopes. It's either going to be undefined or 0. That's why I picked 19. But if you would like for me to work through a different number, then you can let me know which one. I'll give you a couple of seconds to look through these and see if there's any other question that you would like for me to work through instead. All right, I'm gonna go with 19 then. Okay, so in 19, just like our tables, we have 2 points, which means once again, we're going to be using the slope formula here. So you want to start off by writing your slope formula, second y minus my first y, all over my second x minus my first x. That is our slope formula. This tells me I need my y's and I need my x's. You want to pick your first point and your second point and label them as your first x, your first y, your second x, your second y. So when I look at this point here, I am going to label this point here. Since it's my first point, I'm just going to say, well, this will be x1, this will be y1. Keep them as a pair. If I made this as x1, I can't say this is y1. That would be wrong. For 17, let me let you know here. If we do get an undefined slope, we should be typing in m equals undefined. But we checked some in your pixel art, and some of these are not accepting for some reason undefined. It stays as red. But there's only there's 2 undefined slopes in here, and there's one that is a 0 slope. So I'll tell you right now. Oh, well, I already told you in the chat. Does that help? So it shouldn't be that for number 17. Okay. All right, so going back to this, I chose my first point, x1 and y1, which means my second point will be x2, y2. Remember, these are a pair, so they should be paired up together. All right, and now you guys are gonna help me complete my formula here, but before we actually do that, write down your bar and your subtraction symbol in the center. This is where it's going to be important that you keep that subtraction in the center so you don't mix up your subtraction symbols. Okay, so you guys can help me out here. It says y2 goes in the front. What is my second y, my y2? Mm-hmm. 7. This is my second y. What is my first y? 1. Good. We move on to our x's. What is my second x? That's x2.
-5.
Good job. Thank you. -5. Notice that subtraction is already there because I wrote it at the very beginning. So what is my first x? -5. Yeah. This whole thing here. See, this negative is part of this 5 here. That's all of x1. So when I go in here and write x1, I need to write -5. Notice that I had the subtraction from the formula, and this negative here is from the x1, from the first x. That's why I want to make sure you put in your subtraction first so you don't miss out on that double negative. So what does it mean to have a double negative? This one right here. Whenever we have a double negative, it turns into addition. Yes. Yes, good job. It does become a positive. So I am actually, oh, good job. So I'm actually gonna leave it this way here and just turn that into a positive here. So you see, so you have this as an example of when you have a double negative to turn it into addition. So technically this is -5 plus 5. All right, so now we have 7 minus 1, which is just 6, and -5 plus 5. So a negative and a positive, those are different signs. So you want to subtract them. 5 minus 5 is 0. So notice here we have a fraction with 0 in the bottom, 0 in our denominator. We say this is undefined. And it is undefined because of that 0 in our denominator. So I'm going to go on over here and type in m equals undefined and see what that tells me. Oh, it turned it black. I thought it wouldn't for some reason.
No, it's number 4 that, spoilers. Number 4 is the one that gives some kids difficulties where it sometimes will turn it black and sometimes it will turn it red.
Let's see. Oh
no.
yeah.
See, for you it didn't. Put a capital
spell it
M
right?
and see if that makes a difference.
Okay. No.
Yeah, see, some, like, I don't know, like there's some kids that have spelled it correctly and they wrote it like that, and yet it still made it as red. So I'm not sure.
Okay. So spoiler. Doc Brown gave you an answer. Yay.
You're welcome. No more undefined after that.
Yeah, no more. So you won't find any more undefined. Okay, so
0 is a different story.
yeah,
What
there's
about
another
11?
11? Oh, I don't know. I can't tell you that one.
So,
Don't give it to them.
okay. Just think it's the opposite of what the other line is.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, it's kind of obvious for that one. If
So
it's not undefined. By the way, since I already interrupted, all of your progress reports are ready, so do not leave unless like you've marked that as done, please. Same thing with your exit ticket. Your exit ticket hasn't posted yet, but make sure that you guys mark your progress reports as done before you guys leave. Look at it and make sure you guys understand and make sure that you guys haven't turned those in because, you know, again, I might make mistakes.
Okay, so if I zoom out too much to get all 4 of these in one screenshot. Yes, you're right. I'll let you know since there's a couple of you. Give me 1 second. But for those of you that would like examples, and I would suggest you just take a screenshot to help you out with the rest of these. Take a screenshot of number 6 and 10 so you can see how to work with through a table and a graph. And I'll scroll over so that you can see how to work through points and another graph. Okay, so from here, you guys are basically have the rest of the period. Did you put any spaces in between it? No spaces. No spaces? Okay, I'll check it right now, but that is correct. So if you want to move on to another one, you can do so. If that's the only
Yeah,
one
you
you
guys
have
can
left.
always like send us a message and be like, hey, I keep getting an error and this is the answer I got. Is this correct? And we'll help you guys out. So that's like in general, any assignment that you guys do. If you guys like come up with an answer and it tells you no, then just ask and then we'll let you know like, oh, you should have flipped it or that should have been negative or whatever your mistake was.
4 isn't working. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's
so
the one
see,
that I was, yeah.
yeah. So see, I know you guys, I think I can zoom out. There we go. So you guys already see this should be undefined. If for some reason it's not working for you, it's okay. Don't worry about number 4. We'll know that it's correct. If for some reason 19 also does that for you, don't worry, you know it's correct. But this is why it's good that we're giving you the rest of the period to work on this assignment. If you're unsure of anything, if for some reason it's staying red, you can stay here, you can work on your assignment with us, and you can ask us these questions. I got this for number 5, but it's turning red. Is it correct or is it wrong? And we'll help you out with that.
Oh, Miss, they're not supposed to stay red?
No, they're
Oh.
not. They're not. Said some of them for some reason are still staying red for some students. So if you have a question where it stays red, let us know and we'll check your answer and we'll help you out. And
If they're all red, then that means you probably weren't putting
Yes.
M equals. So make sure you put the M equals or else, yes, it will be red. You never, on any pixel art, I mean, on anything, it should never be red. It should always change to a different color for any of our activities.
All right. So from here, again, if you need any screenshots, let me know. Use these examples to help you work through the other problems. But that's it. You're basically, you can choose to stay here with us on Zoom so that if you come across any issues, you can ask us in the chat or you can unmute yourself and let us know. But if you are all done with your assignment, then you basically have the day off unless you want to do the extra credit. Remember, extra credit points will help you in the end. But it's those extra credit, that extra credit homework is finding slope from 2 points. So you're still finding the slope from 2 points, which is like we did down here in the bottom for number 19. So it's not too bad of a homework assignment. Don't forget, you only have one more slope that is a 0 slope in your homework assignment. And then they should be getting an exit ticket today, right? So your exit ticket will still pop
Yeah.
up close to 8:25 or something like that.
Actually,
8:20.
I'll start it now.
Oh, okay.
That way, if any of them want to leave to go and do their work, that's fine.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, you can. So you can work on it. You can work on this assignment here with us if you'd like. But if you're good and you understand how to do it, then of course you can go ahead and leave. Just make sure this assignment is due today. So since we're doing it in class and we're giving you time to do it in class, this assignment is now due today. You can't wait until Monday to receive your points for it. So
Well, I
make
mean,
sure
you'll
you
still get
complete
it
it.
then too. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
that I'm gonna turn it red today,
Oh, okay, okay,
and
okay.
no crying about it.
Okay,
No,
that
I'm
makes
just
sense.
kidding. But like, yes, I understand that some of you guys are having internet issues. That's why I'm saying, like, if you're not able to do this activity, like, there is a PDF version. You can just do it on paper and then just upload that to me as well. So that's fine. Don't forget that you should be marking your progress report as, just like marking it as done. George, Evelyn, Valeria, Gio, Jasmine, Aaron, Anel, Angelina, Damien, Chanel, and Julian, thank you very much for already turning in your progress reports. Again, you're just marking it as done. So there's no work whatsoever that you need to get done. Just mark it as done after you've looked at it. And then you guys can do your exit ticket as well. So if you want, you guys can stay here or you guys can leave, 15 minutes early with the idea that you guys should be finishing up this activity.
And again, if you want the PDF version, you'd have to go under Google Classroom for